Meow. Look out, Sabine! Oh, this is live. Hey guys, what is going on? Robin Vogt, of course, here from the BrickCityBlockade.com podcast network. That's right. I'm here live on the special Facebook Live edition of like a quick Star Wars Resistance talk. And the new guys in the comments section and who are going to be watching, this discussion is built around you. So please make sure to share your piece of advice right down there in the discussion piece. And we're going to get right into the Star Wars Resistance talk. But first, please make sure you also share out this live stream. There's going to be a lot of discussion happening here. Of course, I posted it across social media as a very interesting talk, you could say. And a lot of that revolves around the idea and this whole concept that Star Wars Resistance, that's going to be on Disney starting October 7th, is almost a disappointment to some people. And to be honest with you, I'm not so sure I would treat it that way. And I'm going to get into more of it in just 1 second as I'm sharing out this awesome live stream with everybody out there in the Star Wars fandom and with everybody else that wants to take a look and join in on the conversation as well. Let me just lock this in quickly. Beautiful. All right. Share it out once again. Share this out with everybody out there who loves some Star Wars talk and everything surrounding a galaxy far, far away. Let's jump right into this. Now, as I was speaking before, I was talking more specifically around Star Wars Resistance. We got our first trailer look this past week at Star Wars Resistance itself, which we've been told that Dave Filoni has been backing this entire time. In Filoni we trust. We know Dave Filoni on any project he's been in, whether it's Clone Wars, whether it's been Star Wars Rebels. He jumps into these projects and he dives right into the inner core of Star Wars fandom. He jumps right into the in-depth conversations and the stuff within the timeline that we absolutely love about this galaxy far, far away. And one of the consistent things I'm seeing across social media, and it bothers me, it truly does bother me, and this is why I wanted to do this stream, was more specifically around just a lot of the feedback that people are giving about Star Wars Resistance, even though they haven't even laid their eyes on it yet. And this was the same way with The Last Jedi, that we take a select percentage within the film community and we make their opinions determine what ours are. And at Brick City Blockade, we never do that. It's something that I've always strived to have in my life, is to build my own opinions through my own conversations and things that I have talked about with other people. And one of the big things coming out of Star Wars Resistance and seeing this trailer more specifically is that this show is not catered to the adults. I'm going to say that right away. It is not catered to Star Wars fans who are adults at all. We've gotten it essentially in Rogue One, The Last Jedi, and Solo: A Star Wars Story, folks. Even Star Wars Rebels to a certain extent. And the Clone Wars. You know, obviously that's rebooting. That's during the George Lucas time. I'll say that much. But we truly have not seen a kid-focused Star Wars television show to this date. And Lucasfilm is finally starting to back up the idea of, well, you know what, Star Wars Rebels did get into some interesting territory. It was a kid show marketed on Disney XD that premiered later on in the evening. However, it still carried its adult tones at appropriate times. And I think that's an audience that had to be touched upon. It's that 12 to 15-year-old in Star Wars, exactly what George Lucas said. It's for that 12 to 15-year-old, or more specifically that 12-year-old that's trying to find their way in the universe, is trying to find their way in life itself. And Star Wars Rebels did such a great job of tapping into that age group and saying, you know what, there are so many more possibilities out there when it comes to being a Star Wars fan and to what life can give you, much like Ezra. Life gave him a pathway and he took it and he ran with it. Now, Star Wars Resistance in this way is a little bit more fun. It's a little bit more upbeat. You're going to see a lot more of the dogfighting action that Dave Filoni described to us. And I'm perfectly fine with that. I've already gotten a lot of the adult themes in Star Wars through other things. I've gotten it through the films, I got it through Rebels, and I can see it through Clone Wars. I'm imagining when that series returns in fall of next year, we're going to be back into that same focus. And what has me super excited about Resistance is that it's not for adults. It's for the inner kid in us. Going back to when we first loved Star Wars. And what did that feel like to us? Animation style, I will admit, I will join the camp. I'm not 100% sold on it yet. But that's not at the core of what this show is all about. The core of the show is to take place literally 6 months before the events of The Force Awakens. And I feel like in the Star Wars timeline, it may give us just a little bit more information about the First Order and where the Resistance was while Rey was on Jakku, while Finn turned against the First Order, and maybe even give some stuff. Poe Dameron's in it. Maybe we get a little bit of Lor Syntek in there, much like the Poe Dameron comic. I see those two almost following hand in hand in certain parts of the series, but in the animated form. And it's a simple message to the Star Wars fandom. That you can love Rebels and you can love Clone Wars, and we can critique things and show constructive criticism for what Lucasfilm gives us. And in the long run, Star Wars Resistance is a show for Disney Channel for kids. I'm going to love it. Caden's going to love it. I know that for a fact. The people at Brick City Blockade and Rebel Cause are going to love Star Wars Resistance for what it is. And that is Star Wars. And to say that Star Wars Resistance is not my Star Wars, or is not what I asked for out of an animation style, well, guess what? The funny thing is that we don't always get what we want. You can even see this. We can't always get what you want. I'm going to put that in there. All right? That's right. There you go, Mr. Brian Knapp. You can't always get what you want with Star Wars. You can ask them. That's what Caden and I, the entire Brick City Blockade crew, we've been telling you guys. Scott Inch has even said it. If you want something, ask for it. But they're just going to keep giving us new content every time we turn our heads. And that's what we want as Star Wars fans. We want engaging content. I can tell you right now, Star Wars Resistance is going to be engaging, folks. Don't think for a second that they're not going to throw some Easter eggs in there leading up to The Force Awakens. Can guarantee you, I'm going to play a little game of over-under right now. And I'm going to set it at 60%. I'm going to say over 60% that we see the name Starkiller Base, or even see Starkiller Base itself, show up in Star Wars Resistance. Can guarantee you, the little nods to Force Awakens. What's up, Michael? The little nods to Force Awakens are going to be in there. I would love to see talk of Jakku and what that graveyard was like after the Battle of Jakku. Getting little tidbits like that. That is absolutely amazing stuff that this show could do. And is it going to get dark at times? Not as much as Star Wars Rebels or Clone Wars. I'll probably say that much. I don't think it's going to get as dark. But what it's going to do is it's going to give us the Star Wars timeline within that 6 months before The Force Awakens. And it's going to give it to us in a way that not only is like kid-friendly, but it's going to bring us back to when we were kids and we were playing with our toys and setting up battles and having conversations between characters. Yeah, I know. My friends were toys at times. That's fine. I can say it. I'm sure a lot of other collectors out there will say it too. It is one of the most amazing experiences you have as a kid, is sitting down and having fun with your Star Wars toys. Star Wars Resistance is going to do that for these kids. In terms of marketing materials, get ready. There's going to be Star Wars Resistance toys. There's going to be Lego sets. I can guarantee you. So for the people who think that Star Wars Resistance is going down the drains because it's not catering to you, if you got a kid at home, it's for them. It's for them to enjoy Star Wars. The kids that can't necessarily go and see The Last Jedi yet, or go see Force Awakens, that age group that doesn't know where they are yet in the Star Wars timeline and doesn't know what part of Star Wars they'll really truly enjoy. Because we know that there's so many parts. But it all comes down to the story. In Star Wars Resistance, Dave Filoni had some say in it, not a ton, but in the concepts of Star Wars Resistance had a big piece. That's what has me excited. Michael, I totally agree with you. I'm excited too, man. I don't want to be disappointed. And I'm going to make sure not to be, because I know it's not catered for me. This is catered for like my students that I go to work and see every day. That age group of 10 to 13. Even younger, starting at 8. Star Wars Resistance is built for them. Not for a 24-year-old. Not for a 36-year-old. Not for a 68-year-old. It is built for the prime age, the kids who are trying to figure out their way in the world early on. And that is what the beauty of Star Wars Resistance is. And it's going to be so important to the Star Wars timeline that we talk about that 6 months before The Force Awakens. I know that timelines are a funky thing for a lot of Star Wars fans. Well, let's be careful with which stuff we touch because maybe they're going to do it in different places. Stop. All right? Bring those horses back down a little bit. Pump the brakes. Star Wars is going to continue to fill in those time gaps. They're going to continue to find even the smallest of times to put content into. And if it's done right, what you complaining about? It's going to be fantastic. A kid-centric show that brings the focus into 6 months before The Force Awakens, gives us Poe Dameron, gives us Captain Phasma, gives us these new characters that, in some ways, I'm hoping to have the same impact as Claudia Gray's novels, like Lost Stars. Give us that kind of impact. Nothing's saying at all that we don't see the return of a lot of even novel-based characters showing up in Star Wars Resistance. That would be amazing. And it would be a wonderful, wonderful way for Lucasfilm to tie in some of the stuff that we know as adults with the kids out there and get them going and get them moving in the conversation. I agree, Michael. Star Wars is not going anywhere. There's so much more content like Star Wars Resistance that's going to be catered towards kids. For kids, not us. We're getting the films. We're getting Clone Wars back. That's enough, Dave. That's enough. Clone Wars, no, you can do a film too. But that's pretty good. The kids-focused stuff is so important because if you teach the new generation about Star Wars in a way that they understand it, what more can you ask for as a teacher? Being able to teach a kid, like, listen, go watch Star Wars Resistance and get to know Poe Dameron. Then when you're old enough, go and watch Force Awakens and you'll see Poe Dameron. It's amazing. This is such a great alleyway for young kids to get into Star Wars. And I agree, Michael, it's for everyone. It's not just for adults. It's built for the 12-year-old trying to find their way in the galaxy and trying to find their way through life. What is good? What is bad? What should I do? What shouldn't I do? That's exactly what Star Wars Resistance is going to show. It's going to show the qualities of life and the way in which we express ourselves, both in anger and happiness, in sadness and anxieties. It's going to show all of that. And I'm not one to toot my horn all the time about Disney, but Disney is probably going to do this one right. They're going to find a way through the guidance of Lucasfilm and everything to really, truly put down a great hardcore kids story about Star Wars. And I am absolutely excited to take a seat, sit back, or if I could talk, that would be absolutely wonderful. Take a seat, sit back, and watch Star Wars Resistance. Not necessarily as an adult, but taking me back to my childhood when I was first introduced to Star Wars. That's what this is all about. October 7th, Disney Channel, 10 p.m. I cannot wait. And I know all of you out there cannot wait for Star Wars Resistance, no matter where you stand on this. There's a lot of people out there that I know that are probably saying, I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to take my time. Well, you know what? You don't have to. If you don't want to like it and you don't want to watch it, that's fine. There's plenty of other Star Wars content for you to enjoy. Michael, late birthday gift, huh? There's plenty of content out there for everybody to enjoy. And I just hope that the fandom, and the friendom more specifically, take Star Wars Resistance as it is. And that's what I'm super excited about seeing with Star Wars Resistance more specifically. If you guys want more details, I'm probably going to write an article surrounding this at www.brickcityblockade.com. It's going to be a fantastic little piece, kind of backing up all the things that I've said here live. And continuing to spread that message that Star Wars, like Michael says, is not just for adults, it's for kids too. And as a kid, that's where it all started, and taking us back to that day and giving that opportunity to younger kids as well. That is what is so important, as I'm getting messages from the Brick City Blockade group on here as well. So thank you guys so much for tuning into our live stream right here, right now, on the BrickCityBlockade.com podcast network. Facebook channel. I want to thank Michael for all the support of the Brick City Blockade in here, chatting away. And thank you also to Caden Stetler. Either one, he's known as both on Facebook, of Rebel Cause. It is going to be a fantastic TV series, and I'm so looking forward to talking with Caden and the rest of the Brick City Blockade Podcast Network crew. Thank you guys so much. Make sure to check out the Brick City Blockade on TeePublic and on Patreon. Support the podcast network with either your $1, $5, or even $20 donation for that fan pack to support these conversations and to keep everything moving in a galaxy far, far away. Stay positive, everybody. And as we always say here at the podcast network, what's up, Docking Bay 94? And as we always say, may the Force be with you. Always. Look out, Sabine! Look out, a Star Destroyer!